Well, a trade showdown is looming between the United States and China. The U.S. gearing up to slap tariffs on billions of dollars of Chinese goods, with China still promising to retaliate. The question is when they will retaliate and how the market's going to react if all of this continues. Dominick Tavella, president of Diversified Private Wealth Advisors, is here with us this morning. Dominick, good morning.
How are you?
So here's the short-term issue for investors is that you've got the deadline for the U.S. to impose their tariffs, 25% on $34 billion worth of Chinese goods, auto parts, medical instruments, aerospace, IT. That's at 12:01 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, right? Well, that's 12 hours behind Beijing. So Beijing has to figure out if they're saying they're going to wait. Do you think that the U.S. would wait?
No, I don't. I think Trump is very much committed to going down this road and pushing it to the edge. And I think China will be reactive. They said that they were not going to be the first ones to launch this, but I think they'll be reactive. So I wouldn't be surprised if they reacted literally like in kind. Whatever we do in total dollars, they'll do the same.
So if you're an investor, the first round of this is going to affect, as far as U.S. companies, if the Chinese retaliate, which they likely will at noon their time, SUVs, soybeans, other cash crops. I mean, so we're looking at that. That's the commodity side of it. But what about the Chinese exports into this country? What about medical instruments? What about auto parts? If you're an American company that's depending on those shipments, what are you trying to do right now? And if you're an investor in that stock, then what do you do?
Well, some of these companies actually front-loaded their imports and exports because they anticipated it might come down to this, really to the finish line here. But the reality is, and if you look at just what's going on with farmers in this country, they're really going to take the brunt of it. The soybean farmers, pork and chicken, these guys are going to take it really on the chin. And the result is that their own margins, their own profits get cut, and it's a cascading effect through the rest of our economy.
There's a report, it's kind of an overall outlook from J.P. Morgan that's come out. It's looking at global trade. And it says that the global trade that powered the markets in 2017 is coming to almost a screeching halt in 2018, which would make sense as we've been going back and forth with these tariffs. But that's a global market drag, Dominick. What do you tell people?
Well, so that's exactly the point, Cheryl, is that right now, if you look at the U.S. markets, they've actually held up pretty well. The S&P slightly up for the year, the Dow slightly down for the year, but I think we're in a wait-and-hold pattern. That's almost unusual when you think about the fantastic quarter in earnings that we had the first quarter of this year. So we really are a wait-and-hold, and hopefully everybody's hoping for the best outcome here, that it's a negotiating tactic by Trump and not mutually assured destruction.
Right, mutually assured destruction. That's a good way to put it. Really quick, I do want to get your thoughts on what we're hearing out of this German newspaper this morning, and it's one of the reasons that the DAX is much higher in the pre-market, or excuse me, their markets are open up 1%. Richard Grinnell, the U.S. ambassador to Germany, they're reporting that he told German automaker officials that if they backed off on tariffs with imports, that the U.S. would back off with regards to their exports, that it would be, if you come up with a zero-sum balance, we can basically negotiate. What do you make of that?
Well, I think there's a lot of negotiation going on behind the scenes, and that would be normal and customary in these kind of circumstances. And Merkel's government was in real trouble, so this is important to them that they resolve it. They can't have a scenario where their economy goes into recession. As we know, autos are a big part of their economy. So behind the scenes, everybody wants to figure this out. Everybody wants to resolve it. And I'm going to use the word as fairly as possible.
We'll see if the president tweets about it today. That would help us out with the confirmation process. Dominick, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. Have a great day.
All right.